Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the Pimp Hand of America, Professor Paul Markel.
Yes, indeed. I am the Pimp Hand of America, and I am at the Silencer Shop Studio inside of the Glass Case of Emotion. And you're looking at me like I should be saying something different?
No.
Oh, okay.
Was I?
Yeah, you're looking at me like I should be saying something different.
Oh, I don't know.
Am I saying what you want me to say?
Sure. No, you're saying what needs
to be said. That's right. I got you. All right. Well, it's Tuesday here in the United States of America, or here on planet Earth, where the world is falling apart. And one of the main reasons, I guess, Jared, if we could sum up the problems of the world in one word, it would be, two. Progressive liberalism.
Oh, I was going to say organized stupidity.
No, this is the
but I guess that's
the feel good, the world that we live in, where we think that we can secure our nation with hopes and dreams. We think that we can make bad people go away by just showing them that we mean them no harm, by holding our tongues and not offending our enemies. Yeah, that's how you make your bad guys go away. That's how you defeat evil in the world, is by trying not to offend it. I mean, that's how you do it, right? I mean, you see evil and you think, how can we stop this evil? Let's try really hard not to offend it. Let's try really hard to show the evil monsters of the world that we mean them no harm, and that we want to get along, and that we embrace diversity. If we can just show the monsters of the world that want to cut our heads off and stuff our testicles in our mouths, if we can just show those people that we mean them no harm, well, then they'll go away and leave us alone.
Did you see the meme? I don't know if it's a true quote or not, but did you see the quote from a World War II veteran overhearing someone say, "You can't bomb an ideology"?
Oh, really? No.
Did you see it? Okay, it says the World War II veteran overheard somebody saying, "You cannot bomb an ideology." So he replies, "The hell you can't, because we did it. These jihadis are no different than the Imperial Japanese. The Japs had their suicide bombers too, and we stopped them. What it takes is the resolve and will to use the level of brutality and violence that your generation can't stomach.
Amen.
And until you can, this won't stop."
Now you're gonna have to deedle yourself.
Now I'm gonna have to deedle it. It took us It took us on the beaches with bullets, clearing out caves with flamethrowers, and men like LeMay burning down their cities, killing people by the tens of thousands. And then it took 2 atom bombs on top of that. But if that was what it took to win, we were willing to do it. And until you're willing to do the same, well, I hope you enjoy this crap, because it ain't gonna stop.
Amen. Okay, I think it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, I threw myself off. I was just reading, and I was like, we're not on the grad program.
Yeah. But you're right. You're right. And so between the evil overseas and the evil in the United States, I don't even know where to start. But we've got to start somewhere. So today we're going to talk about evil overseas. The evil overseas that wants to come here, that has its eyes set on the United States of America, and that actually already has supporters within our borders. Supporters in our borders. It sounds like a hashtag campaign.
I have a question.
You go ahead.
Have I given tactical advice on the radio show before?
Maybe. I don't think a lot. I don't think you give a lot of tactical advice. You give a lot of fitness advice and maybe fighting advice.
Yeah.
I guess fighting advice could be tactical advice.
Yeah. Well, I try to stay in my lane, but we received a message that said something along the lines of, Jared doesn't have credibility like you do, which I know I don't. Mm-hmm. I haven't been on the other end of the barrel. So
right.
But I just wondered if I had ever given tactical advice, because I try not to. I try not to
No,
overstep my bounds.
I would catch you if you're stepping out of your lane, and that's my job. That's not somebody out there in the hinterlands' job, and maybe that person might want to come down here to Biloxi and climb into the steel octagon and talk with you about that.
Yeah, they were friendly. They were just like, hey, you should stick to your close quarters combat battle type thing. And I was like, well, I don't remember the time that I've ever given tactical advice like about the battlefield. So whatever.
You know what the root word in gunfight is?
Fight.
Fight. It's not gun. It's fight. Fist fight, knife fight, gun fight. It's all about fighting.
But what I wanted to bring up about that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it doesn't matter what kind of fight you're in. You have to have the mentality of, I'm going to win this, or I'm going to do everything I can. And if I lose because they were better than me, not
Absolutely.
because I gave up.
Right. And, that's the thing is, people believe, and I don't know about whoever wrote you the letter, and this is kind of immaterial at this point, but people believe that if they purchase objects, that the objects give them the mentality, or the object gives them the fortitude, or the object gives them the strength and the skill. It doesn't. Objects are simply objects. Tools are tools. It's your mind. Go all the way back. How many times have we had to quote the mind is the sword is more important than the shield. The mind is all else is supplemental. Yeah, I don't have the quote in front of me, and I should have it memorized, but I'm trying to do three things at once here. All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk about our friends at Duracoat. Because why? Because life is too short to have an ugly gun. And you can get Duracoat products from LauerWeaponry.com.
How many of you have... Wait, what?
What?
What did you say?
LauerWeaponry.com.
Okay. I don't know what I heard. I heard something else. But anyway, how many of you guys have seen the picture of the electric green Frog Lube gun?
The Electric Everglades. How righteous is that? Electric Everglades. Frog Lube. That's right. And you can get, of course, Duracoat products in addition to getting them at LauerWeaponry.com. Now, you say, why is it Lauer Weaponry? Well, because they do lots of other things. Steve Lauer is the wizard up there in Wisconsin, and he doesn't just make things different colors. He also dabbles in suppressors and class 3 items and all kinds of fun stuff. He likes his machine guns. If you don't want to go there, then you can go to Brownells at Brownells.com, and you can order your Duracoat products there. And it's as easy as that. If you've got a gun, Brownells has got something for you. Now, recently, this weekend, it wasn't just this weekend. It started last week. It started, I think, Thursday, and it carried through to Friday and Saturday and Sunday, all the way through the weekend. Jared coaxed me out of the glass case of emotion, and he said, Dad, you have to comment on this Fox News video clip. It's just too stupid to not comment on.
It kind of got to the point where I'm like, nobody else is doing it, and if not us, then who?
And I was like, okay, if you want me to, I thought, maybe somebody will find it amusing. And so what we did is we put up the video, the Fox News grocery store video, and apparently some people out there in the audience think I'm funny. But what I want to know is, how am I funny? Let me know.
What do you mean I'm funny? It's funny, that story. It's funny. You're a funny guy. What do you mean? You mean the way I talk? What? It's just, you're just funny. It's funny, the way you tell the story and everything. Funny how? I mean, what's funny about it?
Tom, you got it all wrong.
Oh, Anthony. He's a big boy. He knows what he said. What'd you say?
You're right.
Funny how? What?
Just, you're funny.
You mean, so? Let me understand this, because maybe it's me, I'm a little f***ed up, maybe. But I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Am I a clown? Am I here to amuse you? Is that what I'm here for? Funny how? Let me know. For those of you that don't know, because you're young crumb crunchers, that was from the movie Goodfellas. That was a clip from Goodfellas. All right, if you are new, then you might need to perk up your ears real quick, because Miss Alex is going to let you know the scoop.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
Yes, indeed. That is where you begin. If you don't know where to begin, and if you're overwhelmed, just take a deep breath. Go to studentofthegun.com and begin from there. And Jared, how are we doing over there? We've got Roku. We've got the Roku TV adapter right now. So if you've got a Roku adapter, you can watch Student of the Gun 24/7 on demand. If you have Amazon Fire TV, same thing. And now if you have an Apple TV adapter, if you have the new one, the one that allows you to download additional apps. I know there's now the original one just had a set catalog of apps, right? And you couldn't add anything to it with Apple TV. The original one was just these are the ones you get, and that's it.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really mess with the original one.
Well, what we learned was that we couldn't add anything to it, so we had to get the new one.
I don't even know what it came with anymore. Like probably Netflix and Hulu. And
Netflix, Hulu, basically a catalog of preloaded things, and that was what you got.
Here's the deal: you buy the Apple TV thing one time, and that's probably going to be less than you're paying for your cable or your satellite or dish or whatever
for 1 month.
Mm-hmm. And then you're just one-time fee. You don't have to pay every month.
You're golden for the whole rest of the time. You buy an Apple TV converter once, and if you're still paying for DirecTV or Dish, dude, I'm sorry, but you're throwing your money down the toilet. This isn't 2010, 2011, 12. It's 2016, and if you're doing that, you're just flushing money down the toilet.
And if you're already an Apple user, it's nice because you can take all of the movies that you've purchased, all of the music that you've purchased, and you can stream it to your TV. And you can also take your laptop or your iPhone and you can stream your screen to the TV using your Apple TV device.
Well, see, if you guys have been following us for a while, you know the deal. If you've been following us since 13, 14, 15, you know what we're talking about. We've been making the transition for a couple of years now. In 2014, I realized that the traditional cable Dish Direct television model was basically playing itself out. When we first launched Student of the Gun television, we were on, like Monday nights at 9. And you watch us for a half an hour, and then when it went away, and you were done. You didn't get to watch it anymore. And what we did actually is for the first 2 years, we were on, cable and Dish and Direct and so forth. We were on Sportsman's Channel and the Hunt Channel and the Pursuit Channel. And then a couple of years ago, we basically went into the mode where we took all the shows and we produced them and made them available on demand via the internet, right? And that we weren't quite there yet. See, we were too far ahead of the game, which is great. Jared, do you ever laugh at how we've done that? We're too far ahead, and we actually had people 3 years ago saying, "Well, I don't understand how people are going to see your show material." We'll say, "Well, do you have the internet?" "Yeah." "Okay." You can watch it there. And it still makes me laugh that a marketing person in the firearms industry said to me 3 years ago, I quote, I know teenagers use the internet to watch shows, but I don't think that adults are ready to do that.
It's like, excuse me, but just because you don't do something doesn't mean everybody else doesn't do something.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous because we still have marketing companies and also like colleges teaching marketing degrees that are teaching people that newspaper ads are still a good idea.
You mean that like the dead tree stuff that you throw on the ground and your dogs poop on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The stuff that you put on the floor so your puppies can be trained. I don't ever read those things. I just let the dogs poop on them.
There's now, if you're a bigger company and you're working on branding, if your whole goal for your marketing campaign is branding, then maybe that might apply. But if you're trying to squeeze all your marketing dollars into the right place, then newspaper ads may not be for you.
That's like magazine ads. Oh, but folks, no, on a serious note, the reason I bring this up is because we've kind of gone through an evolution of Student of the Gun television. And in 2015, I knew that we needed to take all of our material, whether it was radio, audio, whether it was video, television, whether it was, the books, articles, what have you, that everything needed to be in some form or fashion available 24/7 on demand streaming, on-demand download, and so forth. That's why we don't even sell physical DVDs anymore. If you've been with us for a while, we had the Arm Living DVD, which is was at the time, and I'm sure some of you have them, an actual holding your hand physical DVD. And we've eliminated those because that's the way the market is, and it dumbfounds me that people are like, oh, I don't understand. Now, overseas, I guess if you're listening to me overseas and you don't have a solid internet connection, where you can stream things, okay, you are the exception to the rule. But in the United States of America and most of the first world where they have, hardcore serious internet, everything needs to be available on demand. And that's the evolution of Student of the Gun television and radio, is we've made everything available on demand 24 hours a day. People say, what time's your show come on? I don't know, what time is it in the world right now?
Do you realize that there's literally thousands of hours that you've talked into a camera or a microphone?
Yeah.
Maybe tens of thousands, to be honest with you.
It's kind of scary almost, isn't it? Jared's been putting up these homeroom videos. We started doing the homeroom videos about, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And he's scheduled them to post like on Twitter and what have you and go live like every other day. We put a new one up. And what's funny is I see the feed pop up and it says, hey, did you know? And I'm like, I don't even remember recording that.
It's like, oh, crap, what did I say?
I don't even remember making that. But I do remember to take my SWAT fuel. I remember to take my SWAT fuel 40 cal vitamin this morning, so good for me. And if you guys don't have your SWAT fuel 40 caliber vitamins, well, you might want to go to SWATfuelstore.com. Use the promo code SOTG2015, and when you do that, you're going to save yourself some money, and that's what you want to do, right? Well, of course you do. Frog Lube, we talked about the Frog Lube gun, and if you want to buy some Frog Lube, go to froglube.com or to Brownells or whatever you want to do. You're an American. Buy your Frog Lube wherever. It's green. It's minty fresh. It's a non-petroleum-based product. And let me tell you what. I know I've said this before, but we have new listeners. You say, well, what's the big deal? If you're an old school guy and you've had solvents and you've had petroleum-based lubricants and so forth, what have you been taught and what should you have been doing all this time? To keep your solvents and your cleaning oils away from your ammunition because it can ruin or destroy the primers. Keep your solvents and oils away from your optics, away from the glass, away from that stuff, because especially barrel solvent, you get that stuff on, you leave it for too long, it'll ruin what it's on. You know how nice and refreshing it is? And people tell you, wear gloves, how nice and refreshing it is to use a non-petroleum-based, non-corrosive product where I don't have to worry that if I get some on my fingers, it's going to ruin my ammo, or if it gets on the scope, it's going to ruin the scope or the optic or the whatever. It's pretty nice. And the whole reason that Frog Lube exists is because the United States Army, or the U.S. military, put out a request several years ago for companies to make a bio-based lubricant product. And that's what it is. So that's why it exists.
So would you recommend treating my Bruce Jenner commemorative holster with Frog Lube?
No, probably not. What I would recommend is...
Dang it, I wanted it to smell good.
What I would recommend is that if you want to treat your leather, just go to the hobby store. The same stuff that you put on your baseball mitt when you were a kid, and neat's foot oil and stuff. And I know I just lost half the audience because they're like, baseball mitt? I didn't have a baseball mitt when I was a kid.
I remember the leather. I remember that smell.
That smell
of
nice foot oil put
Yeah.
on your mitt. Yeah.
Yep.
Put that on there. It'd be good. Crossbreed Holsters is the makers of the Super Tuck Deluxe, also known as the Bruce Jenner commemorative. And in some circles, not many circles, but a few circles, the Mini Tuck is also known as the Peter Dinklage commemorative. So, there's that. There is that. All right, let's talk about our favorite death cult, the religion of peace and brotherhood.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Das geht an die Oma des letzten Propheten Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ich bin Allah so dankbar, ein Muslim sein zu dürfen. Das geht an die Oma, wir sind die Oma. Check das aus. Bismillah. Islam ist die Wahrheit.
All right. This is the only place you're going to hear the Religion of Peace update Mixmaster, the DJ Jazzy Jeff Mixmaster version. And every time
Who's Jeff?
Or Jazzy Jared, sorry. Jazzy Jeff he used to hang out with the Fresh Prince. DJ Jazzy Jared, he mixes it up for you fresh every time. So if you've listened to it before, you're like, man, it doesn't sound exactly like it did before. No, it doesn't. Because the Mixmaster, he's mixing it fresh for you every time. That's how much he cares about you. He cares so much about you listeners that he mixes it fresh. All right, dailymail.co.uk. Several people injured. Truck crashes over crowd. Yeah, I'll say several people injured actually means 84 dead and scores injured after a Muslim missionary, a representative of the religion of peace and brotherhood, decided to drive a truck over people who were celebrating Bastille Day in France, in Nice, France. And Jared, did I tell you what I knew was going to happen and what actually did happen? Remember, I sent something over to Jared or Zachary, and I said, "Here, please post this to our social media." And he came to me afterwards and he said, "Why did you give me that post that had hashtag nice attack?" I said, was you trying to be like,
hey man, nice attack?
Yeah, it was, no, NICE when it comes to France is Nice. It's not nice. And I knew that would happen. I knew it. I saw that. I saw the hashtag NICE attack, and I thought, all of the millennial mush brains are going to think that that's hashtag nice attack, and they'll be offended by it. They'll be like, that's wrong. That's wrong. You can't just say that was a nice attack. Yeah, I knew it. Oh, I knew it was going to happen, and it did. All right, here we go. Now, this story was actually datelined. It was updated on 16 July 2016. Police today arrested the wife of the ISIS fanatic who killed 84 people, including at least 10 children in Nice, using a lorry and a handgun. Now, for those of you who don't speak British English, a lorry is a big truck, and a handgun is a handgun. It has been revealed that killer Mohammed Lahojaza, I think that's how you pronounce it, Mohammed, well, let's just call him Mo.
Durga Jihad.
Durga Jihad, Mohammed Jihad. Mohammed, age 31, a French-Tunisian who married father of three, was depressed about the breakup of his marriage before he mounted the pavement at high speeds and plowed through crowds celebrating Bastille Day in Nice last night. And, of course, this was the last night as that was reported. He had separated from his wife, Hajir, 2 years ago following some violent arguments. And he was said to have been upset. Well, okay, I guess if you are a member of the religion of peace and brotherhood and you get upset over a breakup, what you do is you're like, I know how I can make things right. I can kill the infidel. Yeah, there you go. That's what you do, bro. You kill the infidel. Now, Jared, did you see the video that John Bates posted?
No.
It was from a British gentleman. And the British gentleman hypothesized, he said, How many people who Johnny Jihad mowed over with his truck here, how many of them do you think were held up signs that said, refugees welcome? How many of them do you think identified as progressive liberals? How many of them do you believe supported or were against Islamophobia and were for what we call it, diversity? And what this British gentleman pointed out in this video, it was a homemade video, a phone video, is that to the Hajj, to the Muslim missionaries, when they're on their mission to spread peace and brotherhood and death and destruction, they don't take the time to ask you whether or not you're a progressive liberal. They don't take the time to ask you whether or not you support refugee immigration. They don't take the time to check your voting record or your registration to see if you're a good social democrat. No, you are not them, and you are an infidel, and you deserve to die. It's as simple as that. But we can't wrap our minds around that here in the United States. And in Europe, most of Europe's toast. They are literally toast. And they don't know it. They've imported their own killers. That's like, they've essentially tied their own noose.
They're essentially toast without butter and strawberry jelly.
Yeah, exactly. When you talk about someone tying their own noose, signing their own death warrants, the people of Europe have signed their own death warrants through their social progressivism, through their European Union. They brought in tens of thousands of monsters and the supporters of monsters. And something else that was in this video that our friend John put up with the British gentleman, he goes, you say, oh, not all Muslims are jihadists. Okay. Not everyone in the United States Army, not everyone in the Army is an infantry soldier. The infantry has to have support. But what he said is, who do you think that the Muslims in your country are going to side with? They're going to side with you, the infidel? Or when it comes down to it, are they going to side with the jihadis? We already know that their own people are afraid. People that have been brought into the death cult of Islam and want to get out, they're afraid to try and get out of the cult because you don't just leave the cult. I mean, it's kind of like Scientology. You don't just get out. If you try to leave the cult, they punish you. And you could be killed for leaving the cult. They've been killing each other. The religion of peace and brotherhood has been engaged in massacring and killing each other for centuries. But we're in the Great Enlightened era, and that's not going to be the case. No, it's not going to be the case. So what do we have? We have Muhammad, a Muslim missionary, who takes a truck, not a gun, not an assault rifle. Apparently he was in possession of a handgun, and depending on which story you read, he may or may not have had other hardware. But the people that he killed, he didn't get out and start shooting them in a cafe or a movie theater. He ran them down. Hey, Jared, how many people were killed by guns on September 11th, 2001?
None.
None.
I'm going to go with none.
None.
I mean, I don't know in the world, but...
What is none, Alex?
What is none? None is a number.
Yeah.
Is it a number or is it a word?
Well, it depends. If you're in a Catholic church, it's N-U-N. That would be zero. Zero people in New York and D.C. and Pennsylvania in the United States of America. Zero people died from assault weapons or Glocks or all the things that you're supposed to be afraid of. You're not supposed to be afraid of humans, see? That's the progressives. They don't want you to be afraid of humans because humans can't be held responsible for their behavior. We have to hold objects responsible for the behavior of humans. So do we hold trucks responsible for the behavior of humans now? I guess. we've got, I think there's here we go, Infowars.com. And I know you guys are like, oh, Infowars. It's just the source. Quit crying. Here we go. They actually have headlines. On the 15th of July, the headline that CNN ran on their homepage was, Truck Rams Crowd, 84 dead in Nice. Did you know that, Jared? The truck. It was like a Stephen King novel. A truck went wild and just started running people over. New York Times headline, Truck attack on French crowd, scores die. Nowhere in either one of these headlines, and what do the main media outlets, what are the big media outlets, what do they know in their hearts of hearts? The vast majority of humans never do anything but look at a picture and read the title. 85% of people get all of their entire thought and opinion from the news article based upon the photo and the title. Truck attack. Truck kills. Really? The truck killed those people? Yeah. We don't want to hold humans responsible, and especially not the protected class humans that are representatives of Comrade Barry's favorite death cult. We don't hold them responsible. No. Folks, it's evil people. Not planes, not bombs, not guns, not knives. If Johnny Jihad wants to kill you, Johnny Jihad's going to find a way. Do I need to remind you of the Johnny Jihad Muslim missionary massacre in China, where Muslim missionaries walked onto a train station platform armed with knives and slaughtered people? No guns. Not one gun amongst them. 9/11. 2001. All the killings were done by men who had box cutters and small knives who took over planes. Bombs and guns and now trucks. And this isn't the first time. In Israel, little jihadists in Israel have been taking vans and small trucks and cars and running up onto sidewalks and running down people. But you don't know that and you don't care, do you? Because you're playing Pokemon Go. Because you have the updated version of Candy Crush. And you're like, what? There's an updated version of Candy Crush? I didn't know that. I have to Google it real quick. So, Mohammed plows over 84 people, including women, men, women, children, everybody. Mohammed didn't stop and ask them if they were pro or against refugee immigration. No, they're all infidels and they all need to die. So that happens. And then what leaks out of France? Well, apparently, even the weak, spineless French people are finally having enough. Apparently, they finally had enough. And so after Johnny Jihad goes on his Muslim missionary crusade to murder the infidel, we find out that, and this story is from heatstreet.com.uk, a French government committee has heard testimony, and there's a direct link to the Assemblée Nationale report. And this is dated as a story by Louise Mensch. I wonder if she's a Mensch. Louise Mensch, July 15, 2016. A French government committee has heard testimony suppressed by the French government at the time and not published online until this week that the killers in the Bataclan Theater appear to have tortured victims on the second floor of the club. You remember that? You remember when the jihadists walked into the theater in Paris and just started massacring people? And it went on for quite a long time before the police were able to get in there. Because, do you remember, Jared? Do you remember a USA Today columnist writing a piece about the myth of the armed good guy and how those people in France, it's a good thing? What did that douche nozzle piece of human filth say, Jared? And I'm going to go ahead and call you out, you piece of human filth. Here's what he said. He said that a armed good guy who's not a professional like him, a professional special operator, is more likely to make things worse than to make them better. And that it's crazy thinking. It's a fantasy. The armed good guy. Now, we might want to get that columnist from the USA Today and ask him whether, and if the people in the theater, if they would have been armed, whether it would have been worse than what we're finding out happened and went on inside. What have we been telling you for years? Literally years. That when these things go down, there's only one person, or the only people that are going to be able to make a difference, good or bad, are the ones inside of the building. The ones who are there. The cops racing to the scene, the army, the special operators, SEAL Team 6. They're not going to be able to do any good for the people who are there at the crime scene when it goes down. But according to the USA Today and their editorial staff, armed good guys are a fantasy. And armed good guys, weekend shooters, are more likely to make things worse. Here's what was kept from you and I and the French people because you couldn't handle the truth. Question for the Information Committee, the Commission of Inquiry. Can you tell us how you learned that there were acts of barbarism within the Bataclan? Beheadings, evisceration, eyes gouged out. Investigators answer. After the assault, we were with colleagues at the passage, Saint-Pierre-Amelot. When I saw weeping from one of our colleagues who came outside to vomit, he told us what he had seen. Question: acts of torture happened on the second floor? Answer: bodies have not been presented to families because they were beheaded. Murdered people were disemboweled. Women had their genitals stabbed. All this, a question from the investigator. All this would have been videotaped for Daesh? I believe so. Survivors had said so. The unarmed people, because, it's best to have unarmed victims, had their testicles cut off and shoved in their mouths. Women were stabbed in their privates, raped and mutilated. Just beheaded, had their heads sawed off while they were alive. Yeah. But you shouldn't know that, and you don't want to know that. We don't want you to know that, because you might actually think that there's evil on planet Earth. You might not think that it was the truck's fault, or the assault weapon's fault, or the plane's fault, or the knife's fault. You might actually believe that here on planet Earth, that we have a death cult whose mission is to destroy everyone that isn't them. Everyone that doesn't go along with their way of thinking. Doesn't matter how many signs you hold up that say, we support refugees. We're against Islamophobia. I'm a good liberal, progressive, socialist Democrat. No, if you're not one of them, it doesn't matter. But we don't want you to know that. We won't tell you that. We won't tell you that because you can't handle the truth. But the truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, that here on planet Earth, we have a death cult. There's a huge worldwide death cult, And we've been kind of just pretending that we can pet the rabid dog and say good doggy, but we can't.
As kids, we learned growing up, if you were going to hunt wabbit, you had to be very, very quiet. Oh. At SilencerShop.com, that's what we do. We make guns very quiet with state-of-the-art suppressor technology for every caliber you've got in your safe. From .22s up to the big boys. Minimal noise, less recoil, higher velocity, better accuracy. Do you honestly need another reason to get a silencer? Oh, ask we wabbit. Get the facts and get suppressed at SilencerShop.com. Making the world a quieter place.
And we like to make the world a quieter place here. And sometimes you just need some quiet time. And one of the things we like to do on the Quiet Time segment is give our book recommendations. Now, as you know, I've been reading a book that was gifted to me called Liberal Fascism, but I'm not going to promote that book this week. Quite often, as it happens, when I'm reading one book, there will be references from another book in that. And one of the things that was referenced, one book that was referenced in the book Liberal Fascism was The Brave New World, or Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Now, that book has been out for a long time. Many of you probably have read it. But then again, I'm also I understand that many of you have not. Now, when I was in 8th grade, I read 1984, the Orwell classic, 1984. And that is a huge undertaking for a 13 or a 14-year-old. That's a thick, serious book for somebody of that age. So I read 1984, but I did not read Brave New World. And so what I did is, Jared, I want you to be proud of me here. I downloaded the Kindle edition onto my phone so that I can have it wherever I go. And that's something that I've been doing here lately. Quite often I find myself where I have some time to kill, where I'm waiting for my beloved spouse, and I will open up a Kindle book on my phone and I will read it so I can do something productive. But when you read Brave New World, you'll see that a lot of what they predicted, these were the dystopian future things, or where I guess they were warnings. Orwell and Huxley were trying to warn us that if we didn't pay attention, this was going to happen. And they're, on Orwell's is more like a Soviet communism putting the hammer down on you. Whereas Aldous Huxley's Brave New World is more of a, what is socialism, Jared? It's communism in a new dress and lipstick, right? And the Huxley version, the Brave New World, it steps away from the Orwellian, there'll be stormtroopers coming to make you do your exercises and to torture you into behaving. In Brave New World, it's more like modern England. It's more like Great Britain today. Everything is for health and comfort, or health and safety. And it's for your own good. And the government, the state, needs to step in and just make sure that you're doing the right things. And so I would suggest that if you guys have some time, if you haven't read it, go ahead and read Brave New World. All right, tomorrow, it's going to be Wednesday, and we're going to go back to the Demon Sermon, and we're going to talk about the lessons from the rat and the cat and how those apply to what's happening in the United States of America today. You're not going to want to miss it, I guarantee you. Remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be a student for life.